moment. I think you may join me in this. I'm sad. I am very sad and upset about what we're seeing here, what is unfolding in Washington, D.C. right now. Clearly, this constitutional process has been hijacked by the left, and the Republicans, I believe, have allowed them to get away with it, but it has been hijacked in order to destroy a nomination. But in order to destroy this nomination from the 45th president, they also have to destroy the man. But in the process, Hans, it seems to me that they're destroying a constitutional process.
I think that's absolutely right. Listen, it wasn't even until the 1920s that a nominee for the Supreme Court actually appeared for a hearing, because up until then, they thought that the really nominees shouldn't be there because all they were looking at were their professional qualifications, not going into the kind of personal investigations and personal attacks that we see now with nominees. But this has become such a political process. The founders, I think, would just be absolutely shocked to see what's been happening.
I've heard it said over and over again, Hans, ad nauseum. This is not a court proceeding. This is not a court of law. Yet, in some cases, they're treating it like a court case, but they're treating it like a court case without due process. You know, in this country, last I checked, we're still innocent until proven guilty, but it seems as though the tables have turned in this process. I don't know exactly when they turned. You mentioned that this process is relatively new. If you look at the continuum in the history of this country, I want to get into that in just a minute. But the tables have turned. They certainly returned on Clarence Thomas, and they appear to be turned once again on Brett Kavanaugh. So what judicial nominee in his or her right mind, if they're a conservative constitutionalist, would want to go through this?
I don't think they would. But in fact, look, that's the purpose of what the Democrats are doing. They want to scare off good, qualified individuals. Look, this really started with Robert Bork. He was respected as one of the biggest legal experts in the country. And they just went after him personally to destroy him because they didn't want his fifth vote on the court. That's exactly what's going on with Kavanaugh. Grant, we should mention, by the way, there was a 5-page memo just released by Rachel Mitchell. She's the sex crimes prosecutor, 25 years of experience from Arizona. And you read her memo, and she makes it clear there is no corroboration for Ford's claims. In fact, all the witnesses that Ford's claims can confirm what happened all say it didn't happen.
Right. And now the Democrats are saying, oh, we need to investigate, or the FBI needs to investigate the fact that Brett Kavanaugh was not honest, that he's misleading the committee vis-a-vis his drinking alcohol when he was in high school or possibly in college. Now we have his ex-classmates from college coming forward and saying, hey, he's not being exactly accurate. I don't even know how you remember that far back, first of all, Hans. But secondly, this investigation is going to be a complete and total waste of time, and because we know that the FBI comes up with what's called 302s, which is, you know, it's an interview with a witness from 35 years ago. It's an interview from an associate. It's an interview from a family member. It's an interview from the accuser, perhaps. And they're going to put them all together, and they're not going to draw a conclusion here. And so whatever conclusion these senators already have made up in their minds, that's going to be the conclusion derived from this phony FBI investigation.
Well, that's true, particularly because, remember, all of these supposed witnesses that Ford claimed, they've already submitted statements under oath to the committee. So the FBI is not going to get anything different from them. And every one of those statements said, this didn't happen.
All right. Now, you mentioned this concept of a committee. I want to look at until the 1950s. Many of these Supreme Court nomination votes, I'm talking in front of the full United States Senate, were voice votes, Hans. I just pulled a little snippet here from President William Taft's time in office, roughly from 1909 to 1912. There were 6 total nominees. They all ended up on the Supreme Court, 5 by voice vote. And the one that did not was an overwhelming majority. So it tells you that the partisan nature of this process is completely out of constitutional whack.
It is. And part of the reason, the big reason for this is, remember, starting probably 30, 40 years ago, the progressive left decided that when they couldn't get things done through the democratic process, through Congress, through state legislatures, the way to get around that was to go to the courts. And that's what changed the courts into bringing politics in so they could achieve their social welfare and other goals through the courts when they couldn't get it through the legislative process.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.